Let Freedom Ring America. Thank you. Gives us $10 and says, I am both a racial and ethnic minority, so my woke friends walk on eggshells already. When around me, it's fun using it against them, but I also like introducing reasonable dialogue. It works for me. Yeah, I guess if you're an ethnic
Yeah.
minority, you can get away with some stuff here, which you should get away with. Yeah.
See, that's the thing. Let me just point out something with this comment, and thank you, Let Freedom Ring America. We've said this before, but this is what wokeism does. It teaches white people that they need to treat people of color differently, that they need to judge them and treat them differently. It makes them racists if they're not already, which I happen to think a lot of them might already be, and that's why this appeals to them. But it turns them into racists if they're not already. And I've seen white people like this. It's so phony and condescending and cringeworthy, the way that woke white people act around people of color. It's just like, God, you're not treating that person as an equal. You're treating them differently. It's gross. How can you expect to establish any type of friendship when you're introducing this power differential that you think you have? You're basically like, I have more power and privilege than you. So I'm going to walk on eggshells and just, I don't want to say the wrong thing. And I'm just not going to be normal. I'm not going to be a human with you. I'm going to be something different. I'm going to treat you like something different. It's so cringe. Oh, and then they go in these forums, these groups I'm in these SJW groups, these white woke women, and they're like, why can't I make any friends with people of color? I keep trying. It's like, yeah, that's because you're trying. Like, you're like zoning in on them, like, oh, person of color, here, let me, do all these things, and it's just not authentic. What's wrong with you? It's so uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable to watch woke white people around anyone who's not white. It's also uncomfortable to watch woke white people around white people because they virtue signal and they make a big deal about insulting white people to other white people to show that they're one of the good white people. It's just all around uncomfortable, guys.
I honestly,
Anyway.
I think the woke whites treat minorities like pets.
Yes, they do, and they try to
And it's
collect
disgusting.
them.
Yeah. Or like little children that need to be coddled. And
Yeah.
yeah,
like Daniel
nothing
Keene
would piss
says.
me off more if I was a person of color, I gotta tell you.
Daniel Keene says, I'm not going to hold you to the standards I hold myself to because I'm better and I know you can't live up to my expectations.
Right.
White guilt is ugly. Yeah, it is ugly. And I've had this happen with woke men sometimes to me as a woman. Now that I'm a wrong thinker, they don't do it as often because, again, they're hypocrites. As soon as if it's a wrong thinker who's black or Latino or who's a woman, they throw all the rules out the window and they stop being weird around you. They just start attacking you. They stop walking on eggshells and they just start attacking you because they're hypocrites. But when I was still in the SJW cult, you're given this status, right? It's because, again, they view the world as a struggle for power between these identity groups. So they say women have less power than men. Therefore, in the ideology, they give women more power. So I can say things that a man can't. And if I say something, a man can't contradict me because it's mansplaining and he's got male privilege and all that crap. And when I was in the cult, I definitely had men, or sometimes even now, when they assume I'm woke and they're woke, they will treat me in that condescending, patronizing way. And I think the best example of this I gave you was my business partner and I, who was a woman, asked this guy to explain something technical, and he explained it, and then he apologized for explaining it, and was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Was I just mansplaining?" Like, he was I'm like, "What? What? No." We needed you to explain it because you're the expert in we don't understand this. Like, please don't treat me that way. You wouldn't treat a man that way. You wouldn't bow and scrape after explaining something. It's so gross. Anyway.
It is gross.
Okay.
It is gross. It's the opposite of rugged individualism. If you could have an opposite of rugged individualism, it would be wokeism. That would be it.
Yeah.
It's not individualist, and it's the opposite of rugged. It's like weak and fragile, It's weak and fragile collectivism. That's their mantra.
And by the way, the woke people who want to be treated that way, the woke women who want to be treated that way, and the woke people of color who want to be treated that way are horrible people.
Of
If you
course.
want people to bow and scrape before you, and it's because you don't think that your words and your behaviors, your actions can stand on their own, that you actually want a system that gives you this power over other people based on race and sex, and you're despicable. So those people who those few, or maybe it's not a few, maybe a lot of people want that, but and then you see that's what woke friendships look like, right? When they're people of a different race or sex. It's so gross. You've got one person who's abusing and taking advantage of this person who's bowing and scraping all the time, and it's this weird power differential in the friendship. It's so ew. I don't have a lot of words for it other than ew and
Well,
gross
because
today, but
here's the thing, right? Because they classify everything as a power dynamic. Every relationship is a power dynamic. It means that
yeah.
the only relationships you can have are ones in which you're dominant or you're submissive. Because everything in every relationship, there's a dominant and a submissive. That's by definition. So it means you can't have relationships between equals. So every relationship that you see between these people, there's someone being pathetic and submissive and someone being dominant. And it just depends where they are on the woke hierarchy, where they self-identify, where they each kind of have to figure out, like, well, you're Muslim and this, but I'm a black one. Okay, they figure it out,
Yeah.
and then
They figure it out.
and then they interact according to a power dynamic and like some like
Or
kink
they
thing
fight
going on.
or they fight, and that's why a lot of woke conferences descend, and there have been articles about these conferences
Oh, because
descend
it's
into
I should be the
chaos
dom,
and
you should be.
infighting.
Yeah,
Yes, because they're like, I'm more marginalized, so I get a bigger voice here. No, I'm more marginalized because I'm these groups. Well, I'm these groups, and then they fight over
right,
who's more marginalized, which means in this ideology has more power.
right,
Their whole belief system is built around power.
right. Yeah,
Anyway,
no,
it's
it's
just it's
exactly who gets to hold the whip. That's the question. That's their
yeah,
question in
I
it.
get to hold the whip. No,
Right.
I get to
That's
hold the
that's
whip.
the
I'm
entire.
more proud.
That's what
Yeah.
it's like to be woke. It's constantly asking the question like who gets to hold the whip, which is not the way I want to live, but okay. Uh, which is why they reject individualism. That's why individualism is on their list
Oh
of
yeah.
white right supremacist ideologies is individualism, because individualism is no one holds the whip, guys. Whips are not proper in relationships between people. they don't belong.